I'm Stephanie Siegel, Senior Fellow with the Economics Program at CSIS. We just completed a report called Degrees of Separation, a targeted approach to US-China decoupling. And we started work on this project in the spring of last year when there was a lot of discussion about quote-unquote decoupling the US and Chinese economies. We started the report and issued an interim report in February, which basically concluded that decoupling wholesale the US and Chinese economies was neither feasible nor in the best interest of US objectives. But we also acknowledged that there are particular activities where we do need to see some separation between the US and China. The trick then is to determine what are those activities and how do you do that kind of assessment. The final report introduces a framework where we apply a common approach to assessing activities so that we have a more predictable way of assessing which activities are candidates for decoupling with China. We found, number one, that these assessments are extremely subjective. So while we're putting out a framework that has a common approach, the various steps all have an element that is subjective, and the assessment itself will be influenced by people's perspectives. So appreciating that going in is important, and it also underscores why starting off from a common risk assessment is actually important, so that that common risk can actually be applied and understood by the various agencies that are making these decisions. Another lesson that came out of this report was that we are, in certain areas, particularly in the digital and data realm, moving in a direction of more fragmentation. Economists will view fragmentation as highly inefficient and therefore not optimal for economic outcomes, but the reality is that the national security concerns are such, and the way that we use data and the national security concerns that data in particular presents is arguing in favor of greater fragmentation. In terms of recommendations for the report, we underscore the fact that any sort of assessment needs to think about activities as dynamic, and it's not when we're looking at US-China competition in a given sector, or really US competition with any country, that it's a fixed assessment. It's in reality a very dynamic world and a dynamic assessment. And just as the US is going to be investing, other competitors will also be investing. And so the real key to US success and US competitiveness is investing in ourselves. For more information, please visit csis.org.